The $1,000,000 question: should you stay natural or should you jump on some shit? I'm Max with Max Strength and Power, and we're going to dive into it today. And this is pretty much the conversation would be: should you stay natty or not? And this is probably primarily aimed more towards younger lifters because since your prefrontal cortex isn't totally developed yet, you're going to really consider it, and you're going to consider it hard, and you're not going to think a lot about it either. At least the most part won't. It's going to be a pretty impulsive decision. So let's talk about it. It's going to depend on the vast majority. Like vast majority of people, I would say no. You probably shouldn't jump on shit, simply because of all these reasons. So pros of staying natty: you do not have to routinely pin yourself, because if you're going to jump on something, you're probably going to have to pin yourself. You're probably going to be injecting some kind of oil-based steroid, be it testosterone, Deca, Winstrol, whichever ones you pick. I mean, obviously you have your orals like Anadrol, Dianabol, Turinabol, those types of Anavar, those types of substances. But your base is usually going to be something that you're injecting with a longer ester. That's not super HEPA toxic, liver toxic. So you're going to have to routinely pin yourself probably once or twice a week. And it's like, is that something you want to do? I've heard people that have used steroids comment on the fact that they get so sick of pinning themselves that they'll just skip a dose because they're like, it's just not worth it. Tell me this: are you taking creatine on a daily basis? So if you are taking creatine and you miss taking your creatine, what makes you think that you're going to be able to pin yourself when the time comes? So just think about that first and foremost. Like, you're going to have to stick a needle in your body. You're going to do certain injections, and things are not going to go right. And I don't know this because I've never taken gear, but I've heard a million stories from a million different lifters that have trained enhanced, and it's the same story. Like, you're going to have an injection site that hurts really bad, and it's going to be really inflamed and sore. And there's a certain amount of danger that comes with playing with needles. So that's number one. Second, obviously, is you're playing around with your hormones, and depending on how much you're taking of different substances, you might be messing with your hormones a ton, which you're playing with your body chemistry. Like, you're playing with fire. Like, it's a very big deal to be playing with your body's hormones. Like, you don't know how you're going to react. Your body could have all sorts of strange responses, like acne, aggression, obviously. Roid rage is a thing. Like, it depends on the personality and the amount of gear and what gear you're taking, but that's a thing. Gynecomastia, just like hair growth, all that sort of thing. Everything, all the stereotypical side effects you hear about, those are all real things that happen. So definitely something to be aware of is when you're playing with your hormones, you're going to be changing your body's chemistry. You're not going to be the same person when you're on cycle versus when you're off cycle, because you don't have the same body chemistry. That's the second point. Three is you're going to be a little more susceptible to injuries and tears when your joints and ligaments and bones and everything, as you probably have heard, are not going to be able to catch up as quickly as your musculature is going to come in. So your body, just, you see guys on gear constantly tearing pecs, biceps, all sorts of stuff. So just another thing to be aware of. As you get stronger, your body's, like, structurally, you might not be at the same level of explosiveness and power that your muscles can actually produce. So you're just a little more susceptible to injuries and such. Not to mention, there's certain steroids that'll, like, dry your joints and tendons out. Like, I know Deca supposedly does that. Winstrol, same thing. Actually, Deca is the complete opposite from what I've heard. Winstrol will. So something to be aware of. You're more injury prone. Basically, and think about this: if you stay natural, you can still get really strong and you can still look really good, like better than 99% of people, without having to do all of this. So take that into consideration. And the thing is, if you stay natural, it forces you, if you want the greatest possible results, it really forces you to dial in your nutrition, your sleep, your recovery. When you take gear, and again, this is anecdotally from what I've heard other people talk about, but it can be a crutch. Like, you can basically ignore certain things, eat like shit, and you can still get really good results because of the drugs, but you're also just exposing yourself to all these health risks. So it's like, maybe just take care of business and run a really tight ship and not take gear, and maybe not look as good or not be as strong, but know that you're going to be healthy and you'll be able to live a much longer life, most likely. That's not to say that everyone that runs gear is, like, cutting their life in half. But if you do it long enough with a big enough dosage, you could be like, seriously. Look at all the bodybuilders that die in their 40s and 50s. Those are extreme examples, obviously. The typical gym rat's probably not going to do the same extreme things that an elite bodybuilder, a professional bodybuilder is going to do, but like, it's playing with fire. And like, why would you risk that? Like the chance of cardiovascular disease, or there's so many things linked to steroid usage where it was a big question, like, do steroids kill you? It's like, no, the steroid doesn't kill you, but it leads your body to all these health conditions that can kill you. So yeah, I mean, those are the points. Like, playing with steroids is just, it's the smart thing to do is to avoid them. And most people that ever do steroids, that's what I hear them say: don't do it. So let's think about some of the cons of staying natty, because there is a sacrifice. If you're going to stay natty, there's good things about it and there's bad things. So you might always wonder, what if I did do gear? What if, like, basically, you can never reach your full potential if you don't do steroids. And I'm just totally playing devil's advocate now. It's like, you're never going to be as strong as you could possibly be, or as jacked and as good of a physique as you could possibly have. And that's all objective with the physique part, right? But I think every guy would love to be a freak on steroids. I mean, I don't think chicks dig it too much, but like, who cares? So you'll basically always have missed potential because you never took the drugs, which kind of sucks. You know, if you're someone that's really into strength sports or you're really into bodybuilding, knowing that you never had the opportunity to see what you could have done. And that's something that's near and dear to my heart. That's something I struggle with. I'm not a super good athlete, like, from a powerlifting perspective, but you know, I always wonder, like, what numbers could I put up if I was on gear? Would I respond well? Would I not respond well? So those questions are always going to be there until you take the plunge. And again, if you're like really into bodybuilding, like, you'll never be a high level professional bodybuilder. I don't know if there might be natural IFBB pros, like the 0.001%. I have no idea, but yeah, you're never going to be like a top tier bodybuilder. So that's about it. And one possible solution is you could stay natty until you're in like your early 40s, and then you jump on stuff and you get to play that game for like 5-10 years, and then you just cruise on TRT the rest of the time. So that's like a possible solution I've thought of, that I've considered myself. I call that like the Greg Doucette route, because that's supposedly what Greg Doucette did. I believe him. I don't think Greg was on gear, you know, until he reports to being on gear. I think he's just an incredible athlete and incredibly dedicated to his craft. He did all the things right: staying natty, taking care of his nutrition, dedicating his life to training. And that's what you get, is you become an elite level athlete and you look pretty good. So yeah, that's about it. I mean, should you do it? It's really a personal decision. I would not recommend anyone do it or not do it. Although I did say in the beginning of the video, the vast majority should not do it, because, I mean, that's probably true. You're just exposing yourself to all sorts of health complications that are totally, in a lot of ways, uncompensated. You know, like, actually, I mean, you could argue they are compensated, because maybe you could make some money doing it, but I don't know. It's really up to what you want to do, obviously. So yeah, should you stay natty? I'm going to, for as long as I can. I promise you that. Next topic of next video: best way for natty lifters to train. Sorry, Jesus, just ate some enchiladas. So stay tuned for that next video. Please like, comment, subscribe. Again, I'm Max with Max Strength and Power. I'll see you in the next one. Later.